Alright, so here I have one of the foam wreath rounds from the Dollar Tree. I also picked up some fall ribbon as well as this jute ribbon and some fall foliage and these little leatherette pumpkins as well as some cattails I found outside. So here I'm just going to take the jute ribbon and I'm going to stick some push pins into the back side, securing it. You do want to use, I would say, maybe 3 or 4, the more the better, push pins so that way your ribbon stays in there. I like to use the push pins because in the end, if you're done with this and you want to reuse it, you can easily just use your ribbon again for something else. And the holidays are coming up after fall, so perfect for gifts or for another wreath. Now you also want to wrap your ribbon about 1 inch to 1.5 inches overlapping, as you can see here. Though if you do mess up or if you have some areas where it didn't hide as well, or you do have some loose areas, use that as your guiding point to hide it with foliage. But keep in mind you don't want it too loose, because if it is too loose, then it's going to be hard for you to poke the foliage into it. So when you're finished, you're going to just use some more of those push pins, hiding them in the back to secure your ribbon. Maybe 2 or 3 more. Like I said, the more the better. And once you have that all secure and done, then you're going to take your scissors and just trim off that little bit of excess ribbon if you do have some. Now you could wrap that around a little more too if you wanted. Now after that's all done and nice and tight, you're going to prep the things that you're going to use. I'm going to take this pumpkin off, and then I'm going to take my foliage and I'm going to cut it down. The good thing about this foliage is it has wire on the inside, so it's really great and easy to poke into your foam board through the jutes. And I wanted to do something that was not too dramatic, but still very fall and festive, so I kind of did a gradient and I really like it. This one is a pretty economical wreath. Each one of these is $1, and truth be told, I actually took these off and I'm using the other ones in the next tutorial coming up. And then you just want to kind of zhuzh the leaves in there as you're putting them in. Some of them are kind of flipped around, so I'm kind of just like fluffing them up, and kind of, if you think about it, they're probably in a box, so they need kind of a little fluffed and zhuzhed around. And just kind of put those in a little staggered too. You want to make sure that you are filling in all your spaces. Some of these leaves also have little extra nubs, so I kind of just cheated and took that off. You can there's a little topper, you could put that back on there if you wanted to. And then the last one I'm putting in here are these really great dark red maple leaves. I love too that there's a little range too in the kinds of leaves. They're not all the same kind of leaves, so it really gives you that full fall feel. Look at that, I love that, so easy. Just checking out these cattails on here. And now for the cattails, now I am going to be honest, I would not use these again because they did shed. I didn't think about that. I just love that they had this red undertone. But I wrapped those in some floral wrap, and then I just put a little hot glue on there, and then I am sticking it behind onto the jute ribbon. Now if you were trying to keep this, you could do it another way. I think even like sticking it onto the leaves could be a possibility too. But just great there. You could add a few more too if you wanted a little more drama. Now I am going to stick this leatherette pumpkin, and last but not least, I'm going to put this checked bow on here. I really like this bow. This bow is really convenient because it had a little twisty tie in the back. So I just twisted that on super quick. This is easily could take you less than 10 minutes to make. And boom, you're done. And here it is up. I did add a little more bow to the back of the bow. I added the burlap to kind of just fill it out a little more. I really liked how that looked and kind of just gave it a little more presence. And there you have it. Alright, for this next one, I'm going to be using Well, first of all, I got this $3 ribbon from Michael, so I had to use it. But I'm going to be using this wire wreath from the Dollar Tree, as well as these really cool orbs from the home section. I picked these up and I didn't know I was going to use them for at first, and then I thought this would be perfect for a modern fall wreath. And then I'm going to be using this ribbon as well as these fairy lights. I got these actually on Amazon for a pack of 12 for $12, and they use a watch battery, and they're really light and long with wire, so they're perfect for this. I'm just going to start off by wrapping that wire light around the metal, kind of just skipping some areas. Make sure I wrap in each section. You don't have to do this perfect because we are going to be wrapping this in that big ribbon, and it'll kind of secure everything in there. But you do want to have everything secured all the way up into the battery area. Now that is going to get wrapped later, so don't worry about that. Now after everything is secure and in place, you're going to use this big ribbon. I love this check ribbon. They had it in a lot of different styles. I know they have the glittery, all kinds of different colors too, but I thought this black and white would be perfect. So I'm going to just use this ribbon the same way I did in the last one, where I'm just wrapping it around and overlapping, so you don't have any open spots. The great thing, but also the frustration about this ribbon, is that it sticks to itself, especially on the edges, because it's such a rustic kind of jute-like ribbon. Or I don't know if that'd be considered jute, but it's just a really rough ribbon. So I'm making sure that I am overlapping and covering everything. You can rewrap or tighten. This ribbon is so forgiving, and this style is so forgiving that, you know, it definitely does not have to look perfect. And I think the more that you have it looking rustic, the better it actually, you know, shoots home that kind of rustic modern farmhouse feel. So once that you have it all covered, I am going to use a little bit of hot glue here. Now this is a precarious kind of like area. You could use different ways to secure this. In the moment I was like, why not some hot glue? If you were trying to reuse this, you could easily cut that off, or you could try to use something different. I kind of just bunched up the hot glue, trying not to burn myself, and it worked pretty well actually. And then once that does dry in a minute or two, you're gonna have a nice secure kind of pouch area, and that little battery pack right there is easily just going to be able to hide back there. And then once you have that dry, you're going to kind of just, I would call it zhuzh. Oh, there's the lights, they work. You're just going to zhuzh the ribbon around a little bit. If it's, you know, some areas might be a little tighter, some areas might be a little looser, and now that you have it secured, it's not going to go anywhere. So see how like the little bit is a little looser, a little bit not in some areas? That's fine. Now here I'm going to attach the orbs. I'm kind of just like setting them to see how I like them, how they look, and actually the area that's a little wider is perfect for these orbs because they're sitting on the area that is not as perfect, you know, kind of like how we did in the last tutorial. And then I'm just going to take a little bit of wire, and I'm going to kind of twist the wire. I'm going to put it through, and then I twist it, and then I twist it back down through again. Kind of almost like you're like stapling it back down through there. And the great thing is you have this wire base, so as long as you have it stuck there and wired on, you're good. And you can also add a little bit more wire. We are going to be hiding that with the little pumpkin, so you know, if you do have it outside and it's a little more windy or something like that, I definitely would put a little more security on there. So we're going to add the gold ball now. It's a little bigger, so it's easier to work in there. The same way we did with the other one. I kind of just push through, twist around a little bit, and then those two pieces of metal back down kind of like a stable, and then I retwist them on the bottom again too. So at that point they're pretty secure. They are wobbling a little here, but I do fix that right here, just kind of like zhuzhing it a little bit and twisty, and there you go. You know, you have it secure. So once you feel that that's secured to your liking, we're just judging a little more. Looks like the battery pack kind of came into the front area right there. So I'm just going to hide that guy back there again. That's also going to be hidden in the future. Now we're going to add our foliage. I'm going to be using some of those cream white leaves that I used in the other tutorial. I just took one piece off for that last one. And right here I am kind of just seeing how I like it. I don't know, I really like them kind of like sticking out, emerging from the globes, you know. I don't know, I think this is a really good part where you just kind of experiment and go with what you like. So just kind of placing everything before you stick it in. I really think it just looks cool sticking in and out. I kind of zhuzh them out a little more in a second. And then the gold pumpkin, that I actually used was the brown leatherette one, and I just sprayed that with a little black spray paint, and then I took some gold paint and I dry brushed it on there. So that right there is just super easy, and once again we already had those from the last tutorial, so that's a good way of using those. And then also it just looked really cool for this, I thought, and it pulled in the other circle up there. So I'm going to clip that in. I really love that these have clips because it makes it really easy to get on there if you can get your fingers into the globe. But I clipped it onto the metal wire, so it's hiding that wire perfectly. Now next we're going to take this black burlap ribbon that I picked up at Michael's, and when I do a bow, I really like to cut more than I need, because you don't know how big you want it. You don't know, you know, sometimes you want a little bigger, sometimes a little smaller. So I always find, like, you know, you can cut off more than, you know, if you have too much. So here I'm just making the bow. I love this ribbon too, also because it has wire in it, so it's going to be really easy to manipulate later and kind of give that like wispy feel. And this also is going to be helpful to hide our battery pack, because I'm actually going to hide the battery pack behind this ribbon. So once again, you're not going to see it, and it's so light that it just stays in there. So once you have your ribbon to your liking, it takes a second, kind of just zhuzh it around. I decided that I was going to add some of the black and white check behind it, just to give it, once again, a little more volume. And I love it because it's so organic that it kind of just does its own thing. And you can really just kind of stick this in behind the bow that you made. See how it's still loose there? I kind of just stuck it in the back, and then after it was stuck in there, I folded the other ends inside behind the bow, and then you're just going to tighten your black bow after that, and it stays in. Also, once again, because that black and white ribbon is so textured. And then once you have it to your liking, kind of squeeze, then I take it and I kind of just ripple the black ribbon in the front, kind of manipulate it and just making it feel very organic. You know, you don't want anything to feel perfect. This is not supposed to be perfect. This is a rustic vibe. And then I just cut the bottoms off, the little tails, make some tails. Now I did at the end take that piece in the middle that I had right there, the black and white out. At first I thought I liked it, but after a minute I decided I didn't want it. And then also I did add a couple more things at the end. But here we go. Here it is on the wall. And even in the daytime with the lights, it's really nice. Now you can see in the brass colored one, I did add a leather pumpkin, and I thought that was great because it's adding a little more brown in there. It's pulling from that cream right there. And then I added these really cool black and white speckled pumpkins, 2 sizes, and these little berries. I forgot to take video of that, but there you have it. I crinkled the bottoms, and it's a perfect, easy 10-minute, wreath. And basically everything from the Dollar Tree. You can find it at the Dollar Tree, so this is like definitely under 15 bucks. Okay, so this wreath, This is the biggest one and takes the most time, I think, but it was so worth it at the end. I love how lush it is. So here, I'm going to do that gradient effect again, and I'm just going to cut down all of my foliage. The same foliage from the Dollar Tree. I just kind of got one of each color and to make the gradients. These ones are different from the last ones I used. These ones had like little berries on them, and they had more of a brown and cream to where I had the white and cream ones before. I really like these ones. So at first, you just want to place everything in here. These metal wreaths are more of like a winter wreath, but I really like them because each one of those green arms is wire. So and the leaves themselves have wire in them. So I'm kind of just using both wires and wrapping them around each other, and that's going to keep these super secure. It does take a second because you do want to wrap each leaf securely, but the great thing is once you have them wrapped in there, you can go back in and kind of move them around a little bit and fluff them out if you want. I'd even before taken leaves, and so it was just perfect putting like a little bit of hot glue onto one leaf so I can stick another leaf on there if you have to do something like that, or you could even just add a little more of these, but I think just one of each color, one bundle was perfect for this wreath here. Now just putting those all in, and then the other thing I do too after I have them all in is I do go back behind it, and I do, if there are some leaves that are a little bit more loose, I do add a little bit. You can use like floral wire, a little bit of wire to secure it a little more in there, especially if you're going to have this in the elements or outside on your front door. You don't want the foliage to be blown away. Now I added these flowers because I felt like daisies and kind of like sunflowery flowers are very indicative of the fall time, and they also just added something else of interest to your eye to look at besides the leaves. So I added these in just some spots that were a little more bare. These are perfect to kind of fill in the wreath. I picked these up at the Dollar Tree as well, and I'm just gonna go kind of how I did before, except like filling in the spots, except I'm going to stick them all in first, and then I'll go back and I will use wire on the back side of them to secure them in. And now I'm going to add these kind of like seedy, I don't know what you call these, like seedy cattails as just like something of an interest. I really loved how they kind of pulled a little more brightness and where the dark red was, and they also have these like a little bit of leaf. Now I'm gonna add these I don't know what you call these, kind of like a berry flower. And I thought these would be great because everything else is so flat that these kind of like stick berry flower, whatever you want to call them, they're gonna kind of just add some interest to the areas. Now I am going to kind of add another gradient. You'll see in a minute how it goes, but I'm going to add these blush leaves to start it off, and it's going to go the same direction as the cream and brown above it, and just kind of wrapping them once again how we did before, with the metal, wrapping on the metal. These wreaths are great, and especially after the fall, you totally are going to want to use this again for a winter wreath. And there you go, reusing things from the Dollar Tree. So we are going to add all those leaves, kind of again like zhuzhing them around, making sure we fill them out. I really like these guys because it has three colors, and you have the yellow, you have the orange, and you have red. Actually, there's a little hint of green in there, so it's something a little more different for your eye to look at, and you basically have like all the different kind of fall colors and leaves in this. I love it. So now we're just going to fill in our spaces with a little more leaves, zhuzhing them out. I'm going to use this deep red, and you kind of see this, what I have going on here. It's almost like a stop-start of a gradient, where that cream goes. And then I'm just going to keep filling this in, making sure that I have all the spots filled. I'm going to add a little more of these twig berries to the area that I just filled in right there. And see how just a little bit of that pulls that color all around. It really just gives a more 3D effect. Alright, I got this really cool burlap pumpkin from the Dollar Tree that's foam on the inside. I'm going to take a piece of wire at the bottom and just kind of loop that around, and super easy, just tying that onto the wire, super secure. And then I'm going to add a little more of my flowers in there, add these little orange mums. I really like these too for interest. Once again, pulling the color around, the orange, and then these awesome little foam pumpkins that are like a cream white with speckles of black on them. I picked them up in 3 different sizes, and I'm just placing those all around to kind of really bring that fall pumpkin harvest vibe into this wreath. And there you have it. Just keep adding them till you're done. And here is the final product. As you can see, I did add the burlap bow after I shot. I just kind of tied that on there, and I wired everything in the back so everything's secure, and kind of just jizzed our flowers and our leaves out, making sure everything looks full from all angles. And there you have it. Super easy. I would say this one is gonna probably go around maybe $15-20, and took me maybe about an hour or so to complete. There you have it. Oh, you made it to the end. Well, then you should hit subscribe so you don't miss out on anything.